COD Stats as well. Shout out to those guys. And so we're going to get started. And what I'm going to do is I have 4 questions from Twitter that I'm going to ask these guys first. And some of them I'm going to answer as well. But I have 4 questions from Twitter from you guys, and I'm going to shout you out because I put your Twitter handles there. And then I'm going to get into some of the questions that I wrote myself kind of after looking into the event at G3. I'll just ask the first general question. How do you guys think G3 went for the 3rd GFinity event?
I think
All right, Hitchers first.
No, wait, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh,
just somebody else go.
I'll go first. Well, I thought as far as when it was actually on stream, it was awesome, but they had a lot of breaks, a lot of problems, which, you know, I think everybody by now expects it to run a little smoother, especially when you look at something like AEL, which on stream ran smoother, or something like that. But I thought they did a great job when the games were being played. I loved the format, actually. I thought the format was excellent. I think it brought a little more excitement to the early games.
What about you, Crush?
I mean, I kind of agree with Fetty. I mean, it was good when it was actually on stream. I mean, they started like 2 hours late because of, you know, production issues or whatever. I really like that they introduced the analysis desk, but I don't know if it was put on the way that most people would expect, because a lot of people wanted it, and then I saw a lot of people saying that they didn't like it.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, it's something new. Well, I mean, it's something new. It's going to take time to get it exactly where people want it. So, but other than that, I think overall it was a good event.
Karma in the chat said 60-second break, more like 10 minutes.
Yeah. So.
I have a little soft spot in my heart for gaming events because I was at, you know, UMG, and then I worked for them or whatever, and it's just like so many things can go wrong. You're dealing with 100% electronics, and so it's not always. I mean, sometimes it is somebody's fault, but sometimes it's just like there's so much going on. So,
Yeah.
but it was, you know, it was kind of frustrating when you're on the other side of the if you're on the spectator side of things and you're just looking at the like that through your computer, it can be pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, I mean, UMG didn't have it seems consistently, though, that GFinity has issues with their streams. I mean, and I think UMG, I mean, you guys got, because didn't you guys had to shut down last time, right?
Yeah, the last 2 times we got,
like at both events?
We got, what was it? What's it called?
Swatted.
I forgot what it's called. Swatted, yeah.
Both but that's not, that's like...
That's not something you can help, though.
That's not something you can...
Well, that's what I was saying, is that I think UMG's issues are not necessarily... I don't know. I think with a lot of these issues, when you're going that big and it depends on viewership online, it's just like starting this stream. We started like 10 minutes late or 7 minutes late or something like that. It definitely has an impact. You know, it's like,
yeah,
if you can start on time, like the esports report is notorious for starting late. And I think it's funny when Puckett just calls out Ron. He's like, it's Ron's fault. You know, it's like, I feel sorry for Ron. Like, that's a huge show. You know, it's a huge deal to be trying to do that. So anyway, I mean, I would say that from the looks of it, from the sounds of it, G3 was a great event. A lot of surprises from the last couple of events with how teams played. And I know there's jet lag and all that, but that's why the American players fly out earlier, you know, so that they can get used to the sleep schedule and things like that. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions that came off of Twitter. And here's the deal. You can't say, I don't know. That is not a fair answer. You have to choose, and then you can say why or something like that, but you got to make a choice if it's a choice. So the first question comes from at ENJOI Prism. I'm thinking it's Enjoy Prism, but spelled differently. And his question is, who is a better team, Optic or Envy? And I'll start with Fatty.
I'm not sure. No, just kidding. No, I would say, that's a hard one. Because, I would say
Take a pick.
Envy probably has, like, better individual players.
Mm-hmm.
But Optic it's like when they're clicking. I think Optic is better, but on any given day, I think Envy's better. And
Really?
That's just me though. I mean, it's all perspective. Like, I think a Formal is I think he's the X factor for that team. When he does really well, they can do well. But if Nadeshot does well, Optic does well. Have you ever noticed that?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
If he plays up to his search and destroy ability of being a top 3 search player at any event, they normally will do at least top 5. Like, the fact that they finished where they finished he goes 0-6, they get 6-0'd. It's kind of like, and I'm not saying that's all the fault, because there was some other players that had some poor performances off of Optic this weekend, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But let me switch over to Crush. Better team, Envy or Optic?
This is a hard one. I mean, I'm going to go with Optic because I kind of feel a little bit opposite from Fetty. I think Optic has more individual talent, and that Envy is more of a team-based organization. Like, they work better as a team. And because, I mean, that was, if you look at some of the stats, like, Cap had the lowest KD out of all of them at a .98. And they were working together as a team. But I think, if Optic's all clicking at the same time, then they're going to be better.
Yeah, they're unstoppable. Hitch, better team, Optic or Envy?
Ghost is a terrible game. All right, so let's think about this. COD champs, Envy beat Optic. Then at when did they play next? Did
they play at X Games?
Yeah.
They played at X Games. Optic beat Envy.
Yeah.
Then they played at MLG Anaheim. Optic 3-0'd Envy, and then they played last weekend or 2 days ago or something, and Envy 3-0'd Optic. This game is a flip of the coin. So I don't know. On paper, I guess they're about even. I know that's a cop-out answer, but honestly, I think Envy's a little better. But obviously, when Optic is clicking, then that's when Optic really comes alive. So I would go with Envy if I had to bet on something.
All right, so here's my take. I didn't watch this event, but
Big Snack says Justice is better.
Wow. What's up, Big Snacks? I'm going to say that Optic is a better team. Hashtag Greenwall. Hex, you can send me a jersey. It's all good. Fanboy.com. And so, but I'll just say that I disagree, Hitch, with what you just said, because if you look at a player like Scumpy, and I actually was going to make a whole video on this, people call him a warrior. He may be a warrior and have an advantage online, but the reality of Scump is that on LAN, his stats are almost identical to his online stats. And so even if he is a warrior, he's also proven that he's in the right place at the right time. And he's not, Rambo said a quote that somebody posted on Twitter that was like, or it's on their background. Somebody I followed yesterday, it said, great players or good players win gunfights, great players avoid them. And I think the thing about Scumpy is that Scumpy doesn't avoid gunfights, but he chooses them. He makes the rules of engagement. I know it's like a Woody's gamertag quote from Black Ops 2, but he definitely sets the rules of engagement. Scumpy is like, if I fight you, I'm going to fight you from behind this bus or from Top Motel or from, wherever he's going to. Scumpy chooses his gunfights, and I think he chooses them well. And I will say that watching Merc for the last couple of weeks, he's had that same type of methodical play, which really has been shocking to me that, and I told Merc and he said like, thank you or something. I told him on Twitter because I've been watching all of his videos because I can't take my eyes off the screen because he's using the vector and he's just in the right place at the right time and he's doing such a good job. And I do think that contributed to Envy, but I would have to say that I think Optic Gaming is a better team. But when Proof plays like he played, they're not going to win. Like, it's just hands down. When you recruit Proofy as a Slayer, and Proofy grinded this game because he wanted to play like Scump played at Anaheim, and it was like the opposite result is what happened. Playing all those money eights and not playing with the team, and I think that may have been the demise of Optic, is just that they didn't play together as much as they could have. And the teams that did a lot better. So it's just my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Next question is, From Big Pork Nation at Big Pork Nation. Was this the first of many for Formal and Envy, or is this a one-hit wonder situation? Hitch, you're first.
Of course. No, this is not a one-hit wonder. I don't want to get roasted, but if EG keeps if they keep playing how they did in GFinity, and if they keep their off season from Anaheim to GFinity was not very productive, and so if they keep playing like that, then we're going to see some other teams start to win. And I think it'll be, as I said, a toss-up every time between the top 4 teams. I think we're going to start to see a rotation of victors.
Okay. Crush, what do you think? Is this Envy? Is this a one-hit wonder, or are they going to keep winning?
It depends on what monitors they're on.
Well, I was wondering when that was going to come up.
Yeah, I had to go ahead and get it out there. I don't think so. I mean, Envy has the ability. I mean, it seemed like every person on Envy stepped it up to the next level this weekend. I mean, I haven't even seen Cap play that well in a long time. And you kind of could, when he got that 2-piece at Top Motel, you could kind of tell that's kind of set the tone for everything.
Yeah.
And so I don't think this is the last time Envy will win. But again, I kind of agree with Hitch with the fact that it's going to be a toss-up. The top, between FaZe. FaZe played really well. There's EG, and what's happening with them, I don't know. And then Optic and Envy, and then we could even see Curse climb up in there eventually.
Or Justice Pro. I mean,
I think it's going to be Big Snacks all by himself. But
yeah, he can win a 1v4 every round of S&D.
Yep.
So let me interject, and because Crush, you were kind of making a good point about this toss-up thing, but as I ask you, Fatty, do you think Envy is going to win one of the last couple of Ghost events?
Oh, I think it's very likely, especially if you look at EG. I mean, you got Crimsix, who's going to be gone for a while. Damon's having a baby, or has had a baby. It's soon, right? It's like in the next week.
Yeah, she's due.
Yeah, if they had it, you'd see like a
montages of
retweets.
Hitch would be doing like the 100 best karma baby montage.
Yeah, it's like when Puckett got engaged or what?
I don't know. I just got home from work. I'm sorry. Anyways, but yeah, I think we could see them win one. But one thing we're missing is this Envy roster is new. I mean, isn't this their first event together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got that, and yeah, that's I think they have a lot of potential, and I think you could see them win. It's probably going to be the next one. If they're going to win one, it will be the next one.
Who, Envy?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm typing on my computer.
So we'll see them win Dallas. I think if they are going to win one of the two, it's going to be Dallas.
Now, normally EG has proven to have this like.
EG's not going to Dallas.
No, because Trim is going to be gone, and
they're not going to Dallas.
No, they're not going to Dallas. They haven't been. Wow. They said that about a month or so ago, I think.
Does anybody think we will not see an Envy OG final?
It depends on how FaZe looks. Honestly, I think really FaZe is the.
Depends on if the bomb glitch is fixed.
Oh God.
Hey, you're such a Ghost hater. We're not going back to Modern Warfare 2. Just give it up. It's not going to happen. Competitive Modern Warfare 2, it's just, you're not going to see it.
COD 4 remastered.
Oh, man, we played the other day, and I just was getting schmam-bangled in COD 4. Proism, or whatever Hitch invited me to.
Proism?
Pro Mod?
No, it was called Pro... What did you call it?
Pro Simulation.
Pro Sim. All right, last question second to last question from Twitter from @SirApparation says, the player you were the most surprised with, whether they did good or bad. And I'll start with Fatty.
I would say Proofy. I'm surprised he didn't do well. I expect more from him, but
hey,
especially
Golden Boy, what up? Sorry, go ahead.
Especially when you talk about how hard he was grinding, and it seemed like he was doing really well. And then just to kind of go crap the bed, it's not fun.
Where did that saying come from? Because I saw somebody else type that in the chat. Did somebody actually say that on stream or something? That he crapped the bed? Like,
Dude, I've said that for years because I've done it for years. I mean, oh,
I'm just gonna go.
That was perfect.
I'm gonna just take that clip.
Oh my god, that's the best thing.
man,
that's
I've
ever
been
happened.
crapping the bed
Just
for
taking
years.
that clip and I'm gonna upload it.
You get it for now.
Oh,
my gosh!
I just hope I made Alex smile with that. That's what
I'm sure you did.
I hope GB smile. You know, he just came back from vacation, and I hope he posts a golden nugget. That's all I'm saying, Alex. Post a golden nugget.
That was my golden nugget move. All right, so Crush, player you're the most surprised with at G3.
I would say Proofy is obviously the standout, but I honestly want to say Aches. Well, I mean, if you look at most of the stats, he didn't play as dominantly as he normally does. I mean, Krim was really the only one that was setting the tone for EG. Krim played like Krim does, and then everybody else just kind of fell off. And then the Aches, I mean, Aches is usually, like on Freight, where when he's in top red, like Nameless was,
yeah,
that's usually Aches, and he was not able to do that this weekend. So he kind of surprised me with that.
Now, I heard that EG was one of the proponents that were talking a lot about. Yeah, I'm looking at Aches' stats right now, and he was 10th in KD, which he's normally higher than that. He wasn't in top 10 for caps in Blitz, for Dom caps as well. Yeah, this is interesting that he wasn't. He was 14th for Slayer and for S&D KD. I don't even see him in the top. Oh no, he's number 7. So at least he did. Sounds like he did good in search. So
he did decent, but not as well as he normally performs.
Well, EG was one of the teams that actually I think I heard was mentioning the whole monitor difference thing. Do you like? I'll transition over to you, Hitch. Do you think that the monitors actually played a significant role in EG's placing, or was it just kind of pro players complaining a little bit about something that bothered them?
I can see both sides of it. Obviously, from a not so serious person about competing, milliseconds and things like that don't really matter to me. But for people who that's all they played on for like 3 years or whatnot, it's kind of like I don't know, using something you're not used to can throw people off. But it was fair because it was like that for everyone. So people had to adapt and things. So I don't know. I can see both sides of it.
I agree. I think that when every team is subject to the exact same disadvantage, you can't complain too much unless there was. It's like if you took away EMPs in Black Ops 2, there's a couple teams that would be really hurt by that, and other teams because they didn't use them. But this isn't. This is every team that's used to using BenQ and they're now all changed to a different monitor. So I don't know how much of a it had to actually do with this. So the last question from Twitter is from Grim_K, and he says, "Is the new FaZe roster really good, or is EG just slipping because they got 3-0'd by FaZe?" And I'm going to start with Hitch.
Team Gamma. FaZe is amazing. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. Because, I mean, EG didn't really apparently their off-season wasn't between Anaheim and GFinity. They didn't really practice that much. And FaZe is a new roster, so of course they really had to practice. So I think practice was the big role.
Okay. So are you saying EG still a better team than FaZe?
Yes.
Hashtag Gamma Gamers. Okay.
Hashtag Gamma Gamers.
Fatty. Is FaZe better with their new roster, or did EG just have an off event?
I just think EG had an off event, but I can see FaZe, as long as they stick together, FaZe is going to be a beast, and they will be contesting with EG. I just think EG's chemistry is a little bit better. Maybe not this event, but overall, yeah. So, I mean, you got to think a lot went on with EG. I mean, TP got engaged, which I don't know why the hell you would do that at an event where you can win money. But, he was not thinking about that. He was thinking about getting married and making plans and all that bullshit. So, yeah, I think EG is better, but not for long.
Okay. Crush.
I think EG just had an off event. I will say FaZe played better than they have in past events, which I think is hilarious because basically FaZe and Envy traded players, and Envy, they both ended up doing, well, Envy not so much, but, or anyway, I digress. Excuse me. No, EG just had an off event. I mean, it's like Hitch said, it's almost as bad as before X Games. I mean, when, everybody was playing CS:GO and things like that. So it's just, yeah, EG had an off event.
Was Parasite the factor for FaZe? I mean, I heard he dropped a 40 bomb in one of the blitzes. I mean, was he...
FaZe played better with Parasite on the team than they did with Formal. They seemed to click better, so maybe better. I mean, I know they're a new team, but better chemistry overall. But Apathy's one of those players where if he's on, he's on, and if he's not, then the team's going to underperform.
Well, I was watching Censor's video yesterday. He did a vlog. He was in the hotel room and nobody wanted to talk. Dito was pissed. Parasite didn't really care because he had a good event, but Censor said he was the worst player on the team, but that they would come back, pretty strong. And I don't think this is the last we've seen of this FaZe roster. I think they have a lot of potential. Dito's consistently proven that he can do his job when it comes to slaying or if it's being objective, whatever it is. And if Censor's off, it's gonna bother him. He's that type of a personality where he's an influencer, and if he's happy and they're doing well and he's high-fiving and shouting and screaming and yelling at the other team, it's just like Killa. He can either take you up or down, and so he didn't seem pretty upset afterwards because, I mean, they got $5,000 to split amongst the four of them or whatever, but which, of course, is not what they wanted from the event when first place gets $30K. But I think this isn't the last we've seen of FaZe. I would still say probably EG's a better team, but EG, like Hitch, you mentioned it with the life stuff that's going on, getting married, and then also having a baby. I mean, that kind of stuff really takes your mind. I mean, Smiting Fatty, and Crush, you got kids and wives. So it's like, and I know as well, it's like, it's hard. It's the reason why I took a month and a half off of YouTube. It's like when your family needs you, it's hard to not take just even your thoughts there, even while you're commentating and stuff like that. And playing the game, I would guess, is the exact same. So I think, like you said, Hitch, maybe getting proposed before the event. Maybe he could have proposed from the winner's circle if they won. That would have been pretty legit. Like on camera, they're given the check.
No. You're looking at it the wrong way.
He gets down on his knee.
All right. That's from TP's perspective. Now put yourself in her shoes. She has to tell her friends for the rest of her life that she got proposed at a video game tournament. I mean, he did it in a romantic way.
What were you doing?
He asked me to hold his controller, and there was a ring on his analog stick.
Nah, TP did it like in a romantic way. Dude is a boss.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
He did well. He did well. All right, so I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. Looks like we got like 15 more minutes before we go into overtime. And so I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions real quick that I wrote out. I'm going to try to skip through some of them. First question is, who is your GFinity 3 MVP? And I'm going to start with Crush because you've already announced that in your video. So you can kind of say who it is and why.
I picked Merc. It was kind of it would have been a toss. It was a toss up between Merc and Formal. I mean, obviously Formal led the entire event in KD, but Merc was 6th in KD. He was in the top 10 for blitz caps for the OBJ. And I think Merc really just brought the veteranship to the game and to the leadership to the team. Because, like I said earlier, they won as a team, not as several individually skilled players. I mean, not that they're not individually skilled, but they meshed well as a team. So that's why I picked Merc. And I mean, honestly, he deserved the win. I mean, he's been, like you said earlier, he's been grinding. So.
Okay. Let me skip over to Fatty, MVP and why.
I was kind of a split decision between Formal and Merc. I thought Merc came up big the last few games, but Formal was like consistently the man. I think he was named overall MVP, wasn't he? But I thought he did well.
And Hitch.
It's between Formal and Merc. Formal really, stepped up. Is he the first person to ever win Halo and Call of Duty championship?
Yeah, Formal is, yeah.
It's pretty sick. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Formal just for that fact.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, Krim had consistent top placings, but I don't
never
think he
won.
won a Halo championship. But he was consistently in the, a great player on Halo. He's consistently in the top. It's so hard to choose between the two of them. I'm gonna say Merc like Crush only because I think his presence on that team it does a lot. You know, he is so determined to beat Optic. It is like so much in his veins and in his blood that if every event that he plays for the rest of his Call of Duty career, if he can beat that team, I think he walks away just with his head held high. And I'm not saying that he does it in a vindictive way, like he hates Optic and all that kind of stuff. But you could see at Champs, there's definitely a chip on Merc's shoulder, and I don't think he's dropped it yet. You know, I don't think it's fallen off. I think it was what made them lose Champs, in my opinion, because he was so he couldn't get his emotions in check after beating Optic. You know, that they just got walked over by EG, steamrolled, yeah, by EG or Complexity, whatever their name was back then. But I think that Merc, I think his presence on that team is doing a lot. I'm happy that he stayed with the organization. If you think about the number of teammates Merc has had just in the last, 6 months, it's ridiculous, you know, or since the start of Ghost, the number of people that have come in and out of the Envy house and on and off of that team, including Scump, who came and said, what's up, gave him a dap and then left. You know, it's like, he's been through a lot. And for them to be winning, that's huge. I mean, that is pretty big. And I'm actually going to ask you guys a question that I saw people putting on Twitter a lot, or on the comments of my preview to this stream. And what they were doing is they were rating the top 4 teams right now. Now, the finishes from this event was Envy #1, Epsilon #2, and we're going to talk briefly about Epsilon in a moment, FaZe #3, and Optic Nation #4. Who would be your top 4 competitive Call of Duty teams right now? And you can include Epsilon and TCM if you want, but who would be your top 4 competitive Call of Duty teams, and who looks the most like they don't know their answer? I'm going to start with Fatty.
Let's see how it is. Okay, so top 4 teams, just like off the rip.
Yep.
As they are now, or maybe as they were a couple weeks ago.
How would they finish if there was an event today?
Oh, okay. I would say it would probably be Envy, Epsilon, or not Epsilon, EG, because they don't like losing and they just lost. Optic, and then Epsilon, and then FaZe. So I did 5.
Okay, FaZe doesn't count. All right, Hitch, you're next.
EG, Optic, Envy, TK.
Oh, TK. Okay. Crush, go ahead.
EG, Optic, MV, Epsilon.
And I would say what I saw some people say in my comments that I kind of agree with. I would say EG, EG, Optic, Envy, and Nation. I think Nation is going to keep finishing in a good spot in lands. I think at the next couple of lands they'll be top 4 almost guaranteed. So
do you think they will win a LAN in Ghost?
That's hard. If they can hold it together in their respawns, I mean, they were the only team to take a map away from Envy. Envy was 15-1 in map count at this event.
And that was a search.
And that was a search and destroy, which Optic Nation just, they did what they do, and that's play search.
That's crazy.
And Ricky, yeah.
Yeah, Killa and Ricky. I mean, and that's what they do. They do that well. And so I don't know if they can win their respawns and actually steamroll in some of their respawns. They could probably get a LAN win, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think top 2 is the best you're going to see out of Nation, and that may be this next event without EG there. What are you saying, Hitch?
Optic Nation is the best team of all time to ever play the game.
Hitch wants followers.
They're the best chemistry out of anybody. No, I'm just joking.
No, it's surprising how good their chemistry is.
And they straight jet your.
I honestly don't think the 3 of you have seen that video. That's funny.
I have seen that video. Thank you.
You have?
I've seen both the Optic Chemistry videos. Thank you, sir.
The high 5 videos?
Yeah, you have seen them.
Yeah. Okay, I watch your stuff. You don't watch my stuff, but I watch your stuff.
I do watch your stuff. I watched your vlog the other day.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. You were on your way to school.
You should ask him something you said in it, Fatty.
I don't even remember what I said in this. So I'm too old to remember stuff like that. Oh.
Somebody typed your short fat friend a while ago in the chat. I was.
Yep.
All right, so you guys have kind of answered if I said is EG. So well, let me ask you this: is EG still the best team in this game, or are they now a top 3 team? And is there no best? Hitch.
They're the best team.
Fatty.
Best team.
Crush.
Best team.
I'm gonna disagree and say they're top 3.
Oh.
Just for disagreement's
And
sake.
who are you going to say is the best team?
I don't think there is a best.
He said there was no best team.
I
So
think
that's
the
like the same
last
answer,
5 events, EG's won 3 of them, right? And they've lost the last 2?
No, they
Or
won.
they've lost. They
One,
won.
lost one.
Lost 1, lost, right?
Yeah.
Lost 1, lost the last 3. And I think that with the stuff going on in their lives and all that, and the way they're playing in the league is a sign as well. I just think they're a top 3 team now. And you can't go into an event like we used to in the Complexity days and say, well, Complexity is going to be number 1, and let's look at who's going to get second. You know, I don't think it's that. I don't think that's the case anymore. So what was your favorite matchup from G3?
Oh.
FaZe EG, hashtag Gaming Gamers.
I'll start. What did you say? You said
It's a
EG FaZe?
EG FaZe.
The 3-0?
Yeah.
What about you, Fatty?
Hold on, I'm looking. I gotta look. It was hard because I mostly caught the beginning matches because I was actually at work. But let me think. You know, that last match at the Envy Epsilon, I think really showed how good Envy is. Because Epsilon had been doing well. They had been clawing their way through. Tommy with his sniper on all the SMDs just was amazing.
Yeah.
But I think that was a good one. I mean, even though it was a 3-0, I just thought Envy played remarkably well.
Okay. Crush?
All right. My favorite between teams was probably FaZe and Epsilon, just because most of the matches were really, really close. But my favorite map was probably that Octane Dom between MV and Optic Nation, where Optic Nation bossed by 1 point with like 2 seconds left.
Yeah. Imbo said he was having nightmares about that.
That
I didn't
was
see that.
it was basically the EG, like how EG won over Optic at that last Octane Dom at Anaheim. It was the exact same way, except Optic Nation lost the triple cap and lost by like the timer by like 0.2 seconds or 2 seconds or something.
Did anybody? It was at like 4 in the morning here. But did anybody see the Octane Blitz? It was Optic Gaming versus was it Epsilon? And they literally scump capped in like
With like 0.1 seconds left.
Yeah, with like 0.1 second.
Yeah.
It was like 4 in the morning, and I couldn't really get hyped because I was so tired. But it was pretty sick. It was pretty sick.
Did you like do a quiet shout? Like you're like,
I was like, I don't know if I'm dreaming. So, no, I was literally watching it in bed, and I was just like trying to keep my eyes open. And couldn't. So I just fell asleep after that.
May or may not have happened.
how deflating was
I don't
it?
know.
For those of you guys that watched the Optic Gaming, where they got 6-0'd in Search versus Epsilon, was it just like hard to watch? Like I didn't see it, but to hear that Nade went 0-6, and I'm sure they were getting chance from the crowd, even though Epsilon's an EU team, and I heard that they were getting a lot of chance even in the final, that there were a couple of boos for Envy because people wanted Epsilon to win. But when they were playing against Optic, and they're in the last map, Optic went up 2-1. Everybody's thinking Optic's going to get through the quarterfinals, and then they get beat by 10 in domination, and then they go into that Search and they get 6-0'd. Was it kind of just quiet? I mean, what were the casters talking about? Did anybody actually see that map?
I call it the last map. It was very reminiscent of COD Champs with EG.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent. I mean, it was like that same kind of feeling. Everybody is hyped. Optic's going to beat the number 1 team in the EU, and then just kind of like, because the same thing happens: 2-2, 6-0, 6-0 loss. So I felt it was similar to that.
Somebody said in the chat, said I almost killed myself.
Wow.
And someone said it was awesome, and another person said I rejoiced on the 6-0. All right, we got some non-Optic fans in my chat. This is amazing. Somebody, it was funny. I tweeted out somebody did a tweet and they said retweet for this rock, fave for Call of Duty Ghosts, and it had like
I remember that.
Oh, let me find that. Where is that?
It's in my timeline from yesterday. It had 610 retweets, and the guy was like, "Oh, it's going viral again." And then one of my friends was like, "Yeah, because Kingdom Soldier retweeted it." And he was like, "Why am I getting all these Optic fans retweeting?" And he was like, "Again, that's Kingdom." It's like, and I was like, "Yeah." It's like I have a lot of people that support Optic Gaming, which I have no problems with that. You know,
no.
I have no problems with Optic. So let me skip down to one of these questions. Someone pointed out that Envy didn't play EG in this tourney, and that was one of the reasons they won. However, EG 3-0'd FaZe, FaZe was 3-0'd FaZe 3-0'd EG. And so, is there any validity to that statement? If this would have been double elimination, would EG have worked their way back up to playing Envy in the final, and would they have won? Like, was that a factor that it was single elimination?
I would say that if it was double elimination, EG would have won the whole thing.
Ooh, bold statement. Bold, Cotton.
Just like what? Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. The X Games, was that double elimination? I believe it was, huh?
No.
Just
no, it was single.
What did you have?
Okay, so you guys see the two tournaments that they've lost were not double elimination.
Yeah, they've proven. I mean, they proved even when they were Complexity that you can never count that team out ever, especially if there's double elimination, because they will go in the losers bracket and waltz their way to the final and win, and they've proven it over and over again. And it's not a waltz. I mean, they play through some ridiculous teams when they go into the losers bracket, and they beat them. And I don't know what it's like. They know when they're on the verge of elimination, they play differently. And I think for this, I mean, I don't know how EG got 3-0'd. Like, I don't know how that.
I think Optic's the same way, though. I think they would have been higher up if it was double elimination.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I agree with that statement.
Somebody do you know Parker Dandy? Parker Dandy?
Me?
Yeah, he's a mod. So anyway, he said, "Did you guys see how bad EG was playing?" But yeah, that's what we're saying. Like, if you saw Niagara, EG was playing terrible. They were playing. Even if they didn't play that bad versus who did they lose to? Stunned XGN.
XGN. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if they didn't play that bad against them, y'all didn't see them play against Nihil's team. Nihil's team off stream. I was sitting there and it was just like they weren't talking, they weren't doing anything, and it was all of I don't even whatever his team's name is, and it was just like it was really hard to watch. And then they literally one round of S&D beat them, and then they just tore through the entire losers bracket. So it's not like they might have been playing bad for one set or two sets at GFinity, but that doesn't mean they couldn't just come back if it was double eliminations.
I think you can't discount this. You can't discount that team. Again, though, I will say they more remind me of like, and if anybody watches basketball, they more remind me of like the San Antonio Spurs. Like, you keep thinking that they're at the end of their path. They're not going to win anymore, but you can't ever count them out. Like, these dudes are old and like they've been playing basketball and winning championships since. I think Tim Duncan's the first player to win a championship in 3 different decades. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, to win in the 90s and then in the between 2000 and 2010 and then to win last year, like, that's just stupid. Like, you've been playing basketball for that long. And
he was my favorite player in high school. Like, that's how old
Tim Duncan was?
Yeah. In 99, he came out, right?
What, 1973 or something?
Yeah, 82. No, I'm just kidding. No, I graduated in 99. That's how old I am.
Oh, you're younger than me?
How old are you?
I graduated in 98.
Oh, you're old.
But I started high school when I was 10, so, I'm just a
what?
Like, no, I'm just joking.
Oh. My boy might. No,
all right, initial reaction to, and I'm going to start with Hitch, and all I want is initial reaction when you saw Gandhi's chest and nipples in a picture or on stream. What was your initial reaction?
Can somebody link me the picture so I can? Somebody link me and I'll open it when it's my turn.
Oh gosh,
because I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen
this?
No,
I
I haven't
seen this.
Tweet it as Fighting Fatty. Tweet it as
somebody tweeted at me.
Hitch.
That's not the worst thing. the worst thing that happened that I just couldn't believe happened is after he took off his shirt, he thought he was going to get kicked off, and so he said I'm surprised I haven't been yanked off yet. And then Benson said, well, no one can see your lower half, so we don't know. And I was like, oh no. And that's when I was just like,
but he didn't get kicked off? Like they didn't kick off the air?
They didn't say anything to Benson. I was just like, oh, I can't believe he just said that. Dude, they do it. They go hard over there in the EU.
In EU. Well, they used to yell and scream at each other, and they didn't care. Like, they'd be up in each other's face. It's like, but it's because they know how to, like, not fight. Like, they can yell and scream at each other and not throw blows. But
yeah,
over here in America, you can't be yelling and screaming at people. People get offended and stuff. Like, it's like, that team that got dropped. I think it was like the team that Parasite and those guys in Miracles. I don't remember what their
my god!
Oh, you just saw it? What was your initial reaction, Fatty?
Well, what's even better is the picture I have has. Well, here, I'll just post it on chat. Hold on. Oh shoot. Oh, okay. So it's in our Skype chat. That's hilarious.
From Alpaca?
Alpaca Laka? Dude, that's just that. That reminds me of. That reminds me of the scene in The Waterboy, like right at the end.
Yeah.
The football coach guy.
Oh yeah, the guy. Yeah, when he's scoring the touchdown.
Oh god.
Russ, what was your initial reaction when you saw it?
Need to get that mole checked out.
I had to walk out. I had actually left to go see Guardians of the Galaxy, and I had to walk out of the movie theater temporarily when I saw the picture on my phone. I mean, because all you see is Gandhi, like. What are you supposed to do? What do you say to that? It's Gandhi. I mean,
I literally just dropped my mouth. I was like, I kind of looked and I was like, he didn't really do that. Like that didn't happen. But it was tweeted. It was tweeted immediately. Like I don't know if it was Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember. But I remember looking at my timeline and I was like, what the heck is this?
That is savage right there.
Yeah, he's a savage for sure.
That's why he and Maven do in their spare time.
So. Epsilon. They did well at this event. They finished second. Somebody tweeted at me, though, and said that a European team has finished second at every GFinity.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe so. Was it, I think it was TCM the first one, then Epsilon this one, and GFinity 2, I think.
Wow.
What do you think that Epsilon is... Because when they come to the States, they don't finish top 2. So do you think that Epsilon is that good at G3 because they really want to rep EU? Or... is it that they're used to they don't have any jet lag and they're used to the time zone and all that kind of stuff? I mean, what do you think that helps them out, that makes them so effective at GFinity, especially Crush?
Well, this time, I will say the weekend before, they had EGL 13. So Epsilon was fresh off a win there. The only thing would be it was on the 360, not the 1.
People still play 360 tournaments?
Yeah, I gotta figure. But
I gotta fly over there.
But I mean, it's the same argument, is why some of the American teams didn't play so well, is because of the jet lag. Because I mean, honestly, most of the teams got there the day before.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not enough time to. I mean, they're playing at 4 a.m. I mean, yeah, they're used to being up, but they usually go to bed at like 6 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Epsilon is good.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if they're good when they're traveling outside of the country. Or outside of the EU.
Yeah, they won when it mattered. They went 2-0 in their pool, and I think everybody expected them to do well at that point. And I don't think they expected the result of the last match they played, but they could have stepped up a little bit more in that one. But I think Epsilon, all in all, they're a good squad. They're a good team, and it sucks that we can't have like a league that's kind of blended, because it would be so unfair because of connection. But it sucks that we can't have that. We can't see like a Call of Duty esports season where EU teams are allowed to play in with the NA teams, because it just wouldn't be fair. Whoever was host would just either be at an extreme advantage or an extreme disadvantage. So there's like 2 more things I want to talk about. We're in overtime right now, but there's 2 more things I want to talk about before we roll. The last thing we're going to talk about is Optic. But before we talk about Optic, Curse. Now, because of some passport issues, Tipsy couldn't go. Kroster had to play. they don't go look at their stats because they're not the greatest. Their highest KD was like 0.87 or something. I mean, it was really like I looked at it and I was so sad for those guys because I like Burns. I just think he's a cool guy in general.
Yeah.
I've always had a good connection to Tipsy. He's been on my channel a couple times. I did a interview of him twice, I think. And Tipsy was one of those guys that when I interviewed him, I didn't realize that he's kind of like one of these guys that's like, I can't believe I get to do this. You know, like I can't believe that I get to play video games and make money off of it and do it for a living. I never would have thought this was possible. And I just think that, you know, that's really cool. And I'm kind of scared of him because of how ripped he is. I would love to see him arm wrestle. I would just love to see that happen. I'll just put that out there. If anybody can make that happen at the next LAN, at Dallas maybe, I would love to see it. But do you guys think that, because Kroster got steamrolled in S&D, I don't want to even state out loud what his KD was, but he was actually their best player, I think, in Blitz. He had the second highest KD and the most caps, you know, so he helped out a little bit. But do you think Tipsy's presence would have helped Curse to finish higher, or would they have basically had the same result? Like, did the chemistry throw off their individual gameplay, or just is that team just not at the level of some of these other teams?
Who you asking?
Fatty.
I would say I think it's a chemistry thing because if you look at how Curse wins, it's not because they're always top in the KD or always doing any one thing perfectly. It's they work good as a team, and I just think, you know, I thought they were going to be better in S&D, to be honest. I thought Kroster was an S&D star. I guess I was wrong, but yeah, I think it's a chemistry thing with them. I think they all have, it reminds me a lot of TK. You know, TK doesn't necessarily always have the best KD, but they win games because they know where to be. They know when to rotate. They do all of those X factor things together.
Hitch, what do you think? Would they have played better, or are they just not at the caliber of these other teams?
I don't think they're at the caliber. They're definitely a really, really solid squad, but they're not. I don't think they're at a caliber to compete with top 4 teams or whatever.
They were top 4 in Anaheim, though.
Ghosts.
Ghost sucks.
If like some random team wins the next event, Hitch is gonna be like Ghosts.
I mean, what? There's no other reason.
What do you mean? I mean, people have. I mean, think about this though. People have legitimate off days. You know, like there is legitimately you can have an off event, and I think. Oh, hey, what's up, Rage? I think you can legitimately have an off event, and what I was asking, and Crush, you can answer next is, did Curse have an off event, or, and you guys both have answered, or are they just not as good? You know, are they one of those teams that just is always going to be maybe top 8, but not going to get creep themselves into like that top 4? Even though Fatty stated a good point, you know, that they got top 4 in Anaheim.
Yeah. Honestly, I love the guys on Curse. I mean, I've met them. It's one of the few pro teams that I've actually met.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they are good enough to take an event where the rest of the pro teams are there, like EG and Optics and Envies and TKs. I mean, because they went to, what was it, AEL Dallas or whatever.
Yeah.
They came in second and they lost to TK, and TK, I think TK 3-0'd them in the final.
Who else was at that? Was FaZe at that?
FaZe. There was a couple of just FaZe. FaZe, and that was it.
FaZe, Curse, and TK. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean they have a lot of skill. I mean they have Blitz off, Barnes off, whatever you want to call him. I love Burns. He's a great guy. It's just they have good chemistry, but I don't know if they have the skill. I don't know. It's kind of. I'm saying it, and it sounds terrible, but it's not what I mean. I mean, they're good. They're good guys. They're good players. I just don't know if they have the ability to take an event with that many pro teams there.
Yeah, they're like a B+ tier team, or like a that doesn't make any sense. But you know what I mean? They're like they can beat like everyone except for the top 5.
And
in
they
my
have
opinion.
the ability. They have the
Yeah.
ability to do it. It's just they're not consistent enough to do it, in my opinion.
They have to all be on.
Is that they're not consistent enough? People are begging for us to talk about Proofy and posting his stats in the chat. Better with bows, better with big T. Is it that their individual skill doesn't line up with these other teams? Like if you put, like let's say you take Proofy and put him on that team, and let's say you take, let's say Aches and put him on that team, do they finish better, or is it just chemistry? Like can they work on it and actually achieve a higher placing?
Yes.
Okay.
They could. Because there's a lot of tension I know of between Burns and Mochila. Because obviously, and then the fact that Burns got dropped for all of 2 hours and then came back to the team. Obviously, they wanted to try and make it work. But I mean, they could work together. But I mean, they live in a team house together. They're in each other's faces all the time. We saw what happened to Optic in the team house. So it's just, there's so many factors, but they could. I mean, they could. Chemistry is only part of it, though.
So, all right, we're gonna move on to Optic, and such a touchy subject because everybody just was. There's so much blame that's being basically just dumped on Proofy. He's just getting. Everyone is saying it's all Proofy's fault. He didn't play well. So before I go into that, like Proofy, I think if I'm correct, he had the highest, and I have the stats here. He had the highest KD and the second most caps in Blitz, but in every other game type, especially Search and Destroy. He just got steamrolled. And I remember watching a video from Proofy where he said he was, and I know I've stated this earlier in the stream, but he said that based on what Seth did at Anaheim, is this one of his kids coming in? Hey kid. Yeah. Hey little Crush. If Curse Orange needed a mascot, I think Crush would fit I think he would fit the bill. If they had Curse Orange again and they needed a mascot, they could use Crush.
Hey, easy.
If they had a Curse Black,
Curse Beard, Curse Beard.
They could use this one. They can have him.
He needs a beard too. Can you imagine a kid with a full beard?
Like a leprechaun.
Just cut your beard off and put it on your son's face and let us see it. Okay, so back to Optic. Proofy obviously did not play very well. He obviously had a rough event, but he grinded the game. He was grinding out eights, doubles, everything he could because he wanted to play at the level of Scump, which he's done in the past. He's proven that he could be a consistent slayer. When he came to the team, people called me stupid, ridiculous, an idiot, a jerk, lost, clueless, all the new words that are out. Detriment. Code Red, because I said that Optic would beat Envy at X Games and that they had the potential of beating EG at X Games when I did my predictions. We all know that after that I took a long break, and they actually did win the event, and I said the reason was because, and Clayster actually is the one that made me confident that I was right, is that Clayster said me and Proof didn't know how to play together. Period. That was the biggest thing, was that me and Proof, I didn't know where to be, when to be there. That was the problem. They proved at the last two events that, they're back in top 2 contention, and then they have this type of a placing. And so I want to ask you guys, what happened to Optic in this event? What happened to Proofy? And is this Proofy that we saw kind of a one-hit wonder as well? Like, did he just have, because it's weird for Proofy to have a consistently bad event. Yeah, Nade might have went 0-6 in that one search that got them out of the event, but he didn't play that bad in all of the searches, and in all of the other game types. What did you say?
So he played really well.
Yeah,
I was surprised about how good he played.
But you can't have a player on a team that's trying to be top 2. You can't have a player like that do as bad as Proofy did and win, And so my question for you guys is, is there some behind the scenes stuff that we missed, or did Provey's, did he just have a bad event, or is Optic not going to work with this roster anymore? And I'll start with Crush.
This is a hard one. I mean, Proofy, he has the ability. I mean, like you said, it's very rare that he has an inconsistent, consistently bad events. I think he just had an off event, and he wasn't the only one, because honestly, Scump, I mean, he's Scump, but he didn't even play as well as he normally can, in my opinion. Because I believe it was like he was one search and destroy where he was first blooded almost every single time, almost every single round. So I think it's something they just need to work on. Like you said earlier, they weren't grinding as much, they weren't scrimming. The only thing they played was their league matches. Other than that, all they were doing was playing. I mean, it was almost like seeing EG all over again, like earlier, like pre-X games. Like Nade was playing Money 8s, and then he'd just go play Minecraft, and things like that. So I think that they're going to work. They just got to get back to what they need to do to win, and that's scrimming.
So before I go to Hitch, I will say that Scump was way outside of his usual KD, but I'm looking at the stats right now. He was still in top 4, which is he's normally 1 or 2. I'm kind of shocked that Formal and Apathy beat him out, and Parasite. This is an awkward event for Scump and Crim to finish below those 3 guys. But Scump was 4th in Slayer kills per respawn with 25.43 per game. And so when it came to the respawn game types, like, he did his job. He did what Optic needs him to do, and then they need Nade to step up in Search and Destroy and do his job. I mean, and everyone has to step up when it comes to Search and Destroy, of course. But if I'm looking at the stats and I'm trying to find an Optic player in the top anything for S&D, KD, and
I think honestly at this event, the most consistent player was Clay. I mean, because he's not as dominant in Ghosts as he was in Black Ops 2. I think just because of the lack of the AR presence. So he's still trying to get used to that sub. But Clay was probably the most consistent player for them this weekend.
Yeah. So, Hitch, what do you think happened with Optic this game? In this event?
I mean, I think they were just off. They didn't grind. I mean, they grinded pretty much for COD Champs. They had the pre-LAN with SB. Then for Anaheim, didn't they have the Optic Nation LAN? Pre-LAN with Optic Gaming and Optic Nation?
Yeah.
Or did I make that up?
Yeah.
They had that? Yeah, so they've always, like, prepared themselves. But I know that they had some stuff going on in each other's personal lives right before the event, and so I'm sure they weren't as focused as they were. I mean, no Johns, but no excuses, but like, I don't know. I just don't think they were as mentally prepared for this, and they obviously didn't practice as much either. So,
is this a one-time version of Proofy, or are we going to continue to see a lack of performance because of a lack of chemistry on the team?
I think that's the last time that'll happen. Not the last time, but like, I doubt that'll happen again. He's Proofy. I mean, he's always had one of the best shots in the game. So,
Fatty?
I think he just had an off event. I mean, there's probably things going into a lack of practice time, stuff like that. Maybe they need to work on their search together a little bit more, enter more of those S&D tournaments all together. Quit playing freaking Minecraft. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care about that. But, I hope it's like, I think this will be the last event that happens, because if it happens one more time, you're going to see a roster change. And I guarantee you're going to see somebody like Formal. You'll see like an Optic Formal or whoever is the top Slayer at the time jump in.
Ooh.
But
Yikes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I think that's if Proofy continues, down this road, which I don't believe he will, but if he does, I think that's what you're going to see.
So can I ask this crazy question? Is Call of Duty Ghosts Optic Nade Shot's last game?
No.
Hell no.
No.
Sorry.
is he completely and 100% protected as an Optic player until he decides he doesn't want to play anymore?
I think he's like Big T. He'll go into like a coaching role or a let's go play Halo role.
But that's what I mean. Is he going to be? Is Nadeshot going to leave the team like Big T did off of his own choice, or will there come a time when, like what happened with Envy, where Rambo just every time they had roster switches, they never even considered him anymore? It was like, no, we're not picking you back up. Have fun. You know, you're a part of the organization. You can GG's us when we win, but we're going to drop a couple players, and we're going to drop Parasite. You know, we're going to drop Study, but no, we're not getting you back. Even though you technically, according to Kingdom Soldier, were statistically a better player than Study. We're gonna get rid of you. You know, and so is Nade like solidified, never going to be asked off of that team, never going to be asked to do the right thing for the organization? Because is part of Proofy's challenges, if this continues, are they going to consider, and I'm not saying drop Nadeshot, don't start hashtagging, but is it going to be considered, well, maybe if we had someone replace Nade's position that Proofy could play off of better? I mean, to drop Proofy as a player, it just kind of seems like even if he has another bad event, like it's got to be more than just his individual play. Like Hitch said, I don't think Proofy just goes backwards this much and gets a .77 KD for an entire event, and it's all 100% Proofy. Like maybe the role they're asking him to play, he can't play. You know.
Well, I mean, he was more of an objective type player, right? In Search, he was carrying the bong, right?
Well, and that's because when you have someone like Scump, who's kind of like, he's been allowed to be like this roaming slayer type of role, you know, where he's like an objective slayer, I guess you want to call it. And that's what Proofy was supposed to do this event, probably, is objectively slay. Like, push the objective, but slay out. And he couldn't slay out. You know, he just couldn't. And maybe that's just not what he should be doing. So maybe the whole team, maybe they'll switch things around. Maybe they'll try something different. Oh my gosh, they're hashtagging drop Nade. My question, I guess, is just that if Nadeshot is solidified and they continue to build around Nadeshot, then I do think, like Fatty said, that they're in danger of, if they finish like they finished at this event, they're in, because to go a few events and finish in top 2 and then have a really disappointing finish at an event like G3, where you fly all the way across the globe and then you finish outside of the money and you're Optic Gaming, it's unfortunate. So I don't know. I think that Optic Gaming is gonna, when they considered giving Scump for 5 minutes, when they considered giving him his own team or whatever they considered that nobody knows, I know it was because Scump specifically did not want to play with Nade anymore. And it was like, Nadeshot shouldn't be on the team. He should be doing something else, blah, blah, blah. And if you're not willing to drop him, give him my own team. Hey, what's up, Taylor? And so...
I still got
Nade.
And so Optic Crimsix would be ridiculous. I mean, that team would be unstoppable. So if Proofy, let's say Proofy leaves the team, who the heck would anybody, is Optic still at that point where anybody will go there? Because when you mentioned Formal, I was like, he just won his first event in Call of Duty, and he would leave to go to Optic if they asked him right now. Like, if they said, hey, we're going to drop Proofy, do you want to come to our team? Do you think Formal says yes?
Yeah. Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's a career.
I mean, just think about it. Like, all of a sudden, you know, this great hobby that you've starting to win money from turns into oh my gosh, I never have to work again.
Yeah, let's think about this. Imbos was the guy in Modern Warfare 3 who just was a GB star. He just grinded GBs. He played a few LANs. It happened to work out where so much crap was going on that they needed players, and Bose was the best at the time. Now Bose lives in a house and is making money off of playing video games because he's on Optic. Like, that should tell you right there that if you want a career, Optic is the best place to go.
And not only because it's just Optic, but just because of the connections they have. I mean, what, Jay is the CEO? Is it Jay or Diesel CEO of Games Page?
Diesel.
Diesel.
Jay's on Machinima?
Is he on Machinima?
Jay's on
anyway, so they've got, and then there's Fizz
on MLG.
G. So they've got all these huge connections. It's basically like joining a fraternity in college that's got all the doctors and president, things like that. It's essentially the same thing in the esports world.
So Goalie just tweeted at me. He DM'd me that I guess Apathy just got engaged as well.
Oh, congratulations!
Looked like it was in.
Good job, Brian.
Brian. So we're about to roll. Thank you guys for being on the show. I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. I think, as you were talking about it, I mean, I guess Optic is still Optic, but remember, Optic does not pay their players. Hex said that in an interview for Game Informer or something like that. He said, they don't pay their players a salary. They give them an opportunity to make more money than any other players because they can stream and they can make YouTube videos, and they're going to get 100,000 plus subscribers just by being on Optic, and so is that somebody said apathy engaged fall of FaZe. Is that and so you got to think about that as a factor. If Envy tells you we're going to pay you, now I don't know what the heck these players make, but let's just say we're going to pay you $35,000 this year, whether or not you win a single event, because we have sponsorships with Monster and they have Gamma as well, right? Or is FaZe the only Gamma team?
FaZe, TK.
TK, yeah, it's a TK.
So if they're like, we got Astro, we got Scuff, we got Monster, we get enough money, you're going to have the best controllers, the best headsets, you get them free all year, bags, swag, everything you could ask for, and we're going to pay you $35,000. If you win an event, like you just won $30,000, and you're going to get $7,500 to take home yourself, you could make upwards of $50,000 a year by playing for our team. Or you can go to Optic and hope that by streaming and things, you're going to get enough people to come to your YouTube channel and grow an audience, because you got to start from scratch. Everybody that goes to Optic that wasn't on there, like JCap. JCap started a YouTube channel and within 2 months was over 100,000 subscribers, and now he lives off of that. He still has those 100,000. He has more than that now as a result of being on Optic. This dude had less subscribers than me when I interviewed him when he first got on Optic. And when he got on Optic Gaming, he had 13,000 subscribers. I think I had 15,000. And at the end of the month, he was over 30K. And, the sky's the limit. He just continues to grow. But, you have to be entertaining, and you got to stay on the team. Because if you have no salary and you can't be traded for a salary to another team, I don't know how that works. So like when Scump leaves, he gets a salary from Envy. But if you're on Optic and you leave and this other team is like, well, we're going to pay you this, but then you leave Optic, so like Scump, you get disliked. People stop watching your videos. Do you get, like, if Imbo's left Optic, he went to Optic Nation. He's really blessed that Hex was, that loved him like that, I guess, and was that generous. But if Imbo's left Optic and just went to some other team, like TK or something like that, where he then got a salary, but then his videos views just dropped and dropped and dropped because he's not on Optic anymore, he's not part of the green wall, is that because he's not playing with Nadeshot in half of his games? I don't know if it would be worth it. I just think about that. And I know that Formal has said 100%, and he'll admit this, that he got into this for the money. And if he can make more money, he's probably going to take the opportunity. It's why back in the day I thought Formal would leave and go to that newfangled FaZe craziness that was going on with Proofy. And it was because he said he would do it for the money. And, it looked like there was going to be a breakup. He would leave his team and go over there. So anyway, that's just my take on it. I think that I would, even if Optic hit me up right now, if Hex, hit me up on Skype and said, hey, man, I really like what you're doing, and I want you to be a part of the Optic Nation channel. We're not going to pay you or anything. You have the potential, though, to gain more. Of course I would gain more people. If I was able to be called Optic Kingdom or something, of course I would gain more people. But do I want to align myself with one organization and not be able to be biased in my opinion, regarding that? And no matter what, if you say anything bad about Optic, you're going to get flamed and you're going to get attacked. If you beat Optic and you're another team, you're going to get attacked.
If you lose to Optic and you're another team, you're going to get attacked.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's just the way things roll, and I don't think blacklisting them is the right response to that. But what I love about Optic is just those guys and the way they see things and the way they treat each other, and I do think that Hex gives people a huge opportunity. But does Optic stay Optic if Nade leaves? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. So I'm going to give you guys a chance. If you have any final thoughts, you can say whatever you want. You can talk about your yellow chair. You can talk about your children. I don't really care.
Invasion of the Gingers.
Follow all of these guys on Twitter. It's right underneath their picture. Follow all of these guys on Twitter. Hashtag Gamma, me and Hitch, holding it down.
Look on me, I write for them.
Yeah, I'm the only one not on Team Gamma here.
And Fatty, hashtag Gamma. And if you need a discount for your G Fuel, it's located
Use
at the bottom of the
code.
stream. Use the code Kingdom, all caps.
Use code Hitch.
He's gonna hit you.
For 10% off. So go ahead. I'm gonna go Crush, Fatty, and then Hitch. You can have the final word. Go ahead, Crush. 30 seconds.
Catch up.
All right, Fatty.
I think Nate Shot made like 50,000 while we were doing this show. So I would join Optic in a heartbeat just because of that.
Hitch.
That's your last word.
Hitch.
Show fan happy.
Hitch, final word.
Oh, final word. Just whatever. Like you want me to say whatever?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay,
Talk about G3, doesn't matter.
All right. GFinity was okay event. I'm excited for Dallas. I will see you guys there if y'all are going to be there. But if you guys really want to help me out, I'm doing a project right now on the Gamma Gamers TV channel where I go through the top 100 montages, my list of the top 100 montages of all time, and I'm really trying to grind that out. And I would really appreciate it if you guys could check that out. So, thanks.
All right, my final word. It looks like Karma is potentially having his baby right now.
Really?
All kinds of craziness happened this weekend, spilling over into Monday. And I want to say this. If you don't watch C-Nanners, I think he's one of the most intelligent YouTubers that there is. This guy uploads 2.5 to 3 minutes of him playing a game that he could probably record. He could probably record 200 videos in one day and make them all these little tiny, and he has the best of thumbnail makers making, an Evan Eckhart, or however you say his name, making his thumbnails. And within 7 hours yesterday, his video that was 2 minutes and like 58 seconds long had 302,000 views. Genius, knows what he's doing. Started off on Call of Duty, getting flawless gameplays on Modern Warfare 2. I used to watch every single one of them. Great personality. I look up to him. He's the one who made me think that YouTube was possible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to C-Nanners. Not like he needs any more subscribers because he has 4 million subscribers. But I just think he's a genius. And if you want to be successful at Call of Duty, he's not going to tell you how, but just watch. Watch what he does and see how he entertains. And people can't stop watching him. So he's a good guy. This is your boy Kingdom Soldier and Hitch and Fatty and Crush. And we'll see you in the next STiKS live stream. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.
In the words of Nate Shot, goodbye. Stop throwing up gang signs. Hit.